Hello, it's Wednesday, November 5th. We're one day after the elections, and thank goodness it's over. This is Charlie Kite, Executive Director of MASA, and this is a short message to the members of our association in regard to the school board members in so many of the districts that have just been elected. This is the largest number of school board members to ever be elected in the state of Minnesota. Half of the members would normally be elected in a given year, but this year, because so many school districts are also changing over to the even year election cycle, we have an unusually large number of people that are going to be taking seats. I'm going to share with you just some brief guidelines on what you may want to be doing in order to help those new school board members to be successful. Remember that in places where school boards are working successfully with school administrators and with their schools, it is because there's been a concerted effort towards professional development to help them become nurturing, functioning boards doing positive things, and that is part of the job of the school superintendent on an ongoing basis. So here are a few pointers that I would like to share with you. First of all, if you haven't done so already, call the winners, congratulate them, welcome them to the school board. Secondly, you should be writing a letter, and it should be sent out right now to those who ran for the board unsuccessfully. Let them know that you appreciated their interest in school affairs and their willingness to run, and let them know that you're willing to work with them if they have questions or concerns afterwards. In terms of the new board members, it's important to start to help them to understand the job of being a board member as early as possible. The first thing I would suggest is that you invite them in, either individually or in small groups, just to become more familiar with the operations of the school. In many of the small communities, you already may know these people, and you may think they know about their schools, but they don't necessarily know everything. As an example, when you bring them in, you might show them the calendar of school board meetings, explain to them your committee structure, and let them know by what processes you will communicate with them. It's also a good idea to take them on a tour of each of your buildings, and during that time, make it a point to introduce them to each of the leaders in the school district. The leaders would be your administrators, and also your president of your teachers union and your president of your other employee groups if you have them. So make them feel welcome, let them know who the people are, let them see what's going on in the schools. During this time, you don't need to try to influence them about anything, but simply familiarize them. In terms of information for school board meetings, you want to be sure that your board members, your new board members, understand how you'll communicate with them. If you have a weekly email message, if you send them letters, let them know a little bit about the fact that everything that's in email or everything they communicate with you in writing ultimately could become public documents, so they need to be a little careful what they say, and also help them to understand that much of the data that you work with individuals is private, so that as you communicate with them and they communicate with you, you follow those good rules. Also, let them know how far ahead of a school board meeting they can expect their materials to be sent to them. Try to set up a process by which if they have any questions that they can contact you or meet with you on a regular basis. It would be a good idea to have one of your business people come in and talk to them about the reports that they'll get at each board meeting, especially the finance reports, how to look at them, how to read them, how to understand them. And then you may want to talk to them about the kind of usual cycle of business during the school year. During which months do you prepare the budgets for the next year? When do you do the audits? When do you make decisions about staffing? When is the hiring actually done? And what is the cycle all the way around? I'd also suggest that you take a little bit of time and either at this first meeting or at a second meeting, ask them if they would like to see the contracts of the district, the teacher's contract, the administrator's contract, your own contract, the support employees' contracts, so they understand not only what is in those contracts, but also the cycle by which you do the negotiations and get those reapproved on, typically it's on a 2-year basis. Then another thing that you should be doing is pledging that you'll do your best to communicate openly and honestly with the new board members, and also ask them to do the same with you. If they have questions, ask that they bring them to you directly rather than bringing them up at the end of a board meeting or by some other technique. Finally, I would suggest that you set up a couple of follow-on individual meetings. Maybe one in the second half of December or the very beginning of January before they get on the board, so that you can answer any questions they have at that time. Then also set up a meeting right now for sometime in early February. They'll have about a month under their belt. They'll have a couple of board meetings happening, and they'll have new questions as they start to get into the business. So just set up the meeting and put it on the schedule right now. That way you've created an ongoing set of communications with each of your new board members so that they feel comfortable and welcome. Remember, good boards and good board members are created. They don't just happen automatically. It's your work doing the professional development and training and nurturing that helps them to become good board members and helps your board to be a good functioning unit. Thank you. This is Charlie Kite.